As I approached the patient who was lying on the floor, I noticed all his clothes were dark, but as I realised it wasn't dark clothing he had, his clothing was completely blood stained. Apparently he'd been stabbed by one of his friends in some silly argument they had, and it was a one stab wound. And I've never seen so much blood come from a patient who's literally not had a frenzied attack on them. This was one stab. And he's looking at me the whole time. And I'm looking straight at him. Got him into the back of the ambulance, and that's when his heart stopped. We were on scene for probably about 20 minutes, but at that period of time, also the whole of the ambulance floor was just covered and being filled with blood, and the doctor knew he had to stop this bleeding from this one small little wound on his chest. So eventually he had to open up his chest. This is all on the back of the ambulance, so there's quite a few people in there. But before he could do that, we had to cut some of his clothing off. And what thing sticks with me is getting his mobile phone and putting it on the side right in front of me. And just as we did that, and the doctor had opened his chest to try and see where the exit wound had gone in his heart, a text lit up on his phone from his mum. And literally his mum said, "I've just come out the supermarket, I've got our food, I'll cook tea when we get home, shall I pick you up on the way? Love, Mum." And that struck a chord for me, the fact that while we're doing this, we've got her son who's dead in front of us, and we're trying to restart his heart, while she's coming out the supermarket totally unaware of the terror that she was about to face. We then got to hospital. Minutes had passed. The next minute, as I looked to my left, and we'd handed the patient over to the team, they didn't work on him very long because they realised there's nothing more that could be done. I saw this woman being escorted into the hospital and put in the family room, and instantly I knew that was his mum. As we were walking back towards the doors, I could hear a scream, and it wasn't just a high-pitched scream, it was a gutterish scream. And I looked through the doors and I could see his mum being told exactly what had happened. She was still in this cold room on her own with 2 nurses and a consultant, being told that her son had been killed. She was screaming and crying and throwing herself on the floor with sheer absolute devastation. I can't imagine what she must have been going through. I felt I had no choice. I had to go in that room and just hold her hand. I help her up off the floor because no one else was doing this. She was begging us all, "Please try again, please try again." And the consultant was quite cold. He had to be, to say no, there's nothing more that can be done. And I just said to her, because I couldn't think of anything else to say, he wasn't on his own when he died, we were with him. And another poignant thing that she said to me was, "You might have heard his last breaths, but I always heard his first." And that just stuck with me completely. You know, that's her boy, that's her son. She gave birth to him, as she said to me. And that's all from one single, very thin, long stab wound. That's completely destroyed a whole family, all his friends. It's affected the police officer that I work with. It affected the ambulance crew. It affected absolutely everybody. And no one should have to ever go through that.